Hello, everybody. I'm Aaron Brown with LGBTQ Plus News and Chat, and today's guest is Melissa Griffiths, if I said it correctly.
Yes, you
Um,
have. Yep.
and she's going to be talking with us. Melissa has her unique consulting coaching service. So, Melissa, explain that.
I guess it's unique because I sort of mentor, help trans people for years when they've been going through their own journey, and just do that quietly behind the scenes. They maybe just sorry, transition in their workplace, and they just need help in terms of figuring one or two things out, how to approach the employer. So it's just been in the background for them, helping them, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people just need a bit of guidance along the way. As we know, it can be a difficult process transitioning in itself, and also just consulting to businesses and helping them around their transgender policies and gender identity stuff.
Okay. So how do you help businesses um, integrate transgender people into their format?
Well, it helps with Cricket Australia in their development of their transgender policy, going to a few of their meetings and getting back to the policy they develop. So it's just giving them feedback if they're developing it, but they want insights into things they should consider when they were developing it. So looking at the practical side of it as well. It's all very well to have a policy, there sitting on the shelf, but unless it's implemented or followed through and there's practical things in place to support the person transitioning the workplace, or the person who's playing cricket at the community level as a transgender person, then it's going to do it. It's building those things out.
Okay. I know here in the States, there's more companies integrating transgender people and, well, LGBTQ plus people overall, but it's slow. A lot of companies don't want to integrate. They want the status quo, so to speak. They want it to continue as it has always continued. And I don't know if I think that's mostly from fear.
I think it is. I think the same here. It's sort of anyone that's different, as you know, it can be hard to deal with someone that's different. And obviously, transgender is probably talked about more and more now. With Caitlyn Jenner bringing it to the forefront in America, it's sort of probably helped a bit. But I know even in Australia, and I follow what happens in America, the different, some of the supporters of trans people and some of the people that aren't supporters of trans people. So I try and follow it as much as I can. But I know change is slow, and it's like fear of the unknown and people's own bias as well. So it makes that change even harder to create. But just persevering and recognising that if we just keep being open-minded and explaining ourselves, and then hopefully one day everyone will get it. It may take a while, but as you know, but hopefully things change. It's got to be patient.
Well, I know here in the States, it took um, a couple hundred years for even African Americans to um, get to where they are at right now, and even women's right to vote. It took a couple hundred years, and um, I'm hoping that it doesn't take a couple hundred years for people to recognize the LGBTQ plus community. It seems to be going a whole lot faster than um, what has happened with other groups. So um, I think worldwide, I think it maybe within the next 5 to 10 years that uh, full recognition will be standard instead of optional.
I think it will. Like, there's always politicians that don't necessarily agree with transgender people, but I think society as a whole is moving forward. So hopefully the change will, like I said, only take another 5 to 10 years. It's just we've got to keep being a voice for those that are too afraid to be a voice or can't be a voice. And if we're prepared to continue to speak out and just continue to share our stories, then hopefully people will start to recognise we're just people too, not much different to anyone else. And then hopefully through that we can sort of create the change we want, so it's more accepted in companies and recognise that trans people are valuable people in any organisation, and they're not much different to anyone else.
Excuse me. So, well, let me pop this up here so everybody knows. I'm sure that they're going to be like, she's got a different voice. So, here it is. She's from Melbourne, Australia. From the land down under, as they say, you know. What was the popular music group of the 80s? Men at Work.
Men at Work, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that was a popular song back in the 80s, you know, from the land down under. And they were an Australian band. I think they were from Melbourne or around that area, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was brought up in Auckland, so I was brought up with like crowded house back in Auckland, and I didn't move to Melbourne until 1999. So I sort of grew up listening to Men at Work, showing my age a bit.
So besides the consulting, you coach. Are you coaching just the businesses, or are you coaching other transgender people?
Well, I've just coached other trans people on sort of mentoring someone that's done the LGBTI leadership program, so I'm sort of mentoring them, so I'm mentoring with them. And I've coached just a normal cisgender woman overseas who's had mental health issues, because I've gone through that myself, dealing with anxiety and depression. That's quite a big thing, how to handle that and navigate your way through that, because mental health issues, something that society doesn't necessarily talk about. It's getting more and more talked about now.
Yes.
But people are still reluctant in workplaces to talk about it too much in some workplaces.
I think a lot of the mental health issues is like my other video cast is we self-impose the mental health issues a lot of times on ourselves. And make things more difficult than they actually should be. I mean, we do deal with, you know, depression, anxiety. We deal with the dysphoria. Dysphoria is a major issue, but it doesn't have to be. And if we kind of like retrain our minds to, you know, overcome that, or to kind of compensate initially, and we just retrain our thoughts.
Yeah.
Another thing that we need to get past in the transgender community is the fear of coming out.
That's right, yeah. The fear of being out there and being visible, because of what people say about you, and obviously I cop that a lot, like going out and about. Oh, there's a woman with a dick in the toilets, or there's, you know, yelled at in the street in that dress. So during the same marriage debate we had recently in the plebiscite, there was a lot of anger, and really something perhaps could have been handled a lot better if it just been, instead of having a plebiscite, if it had just been done in Parliament, like we just voted on it, and then it would have made it a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, I've been reading some of the stuff that's been going on down there, and in fact, I had a episode of my podcast where I spoke about it was actually a cisgender woman that wrote to the editor down there about the notebook that she keeps that's addressed to the coroner.
Yeah. Okay.
It was in the Guardian, and I mean, if it's happening within the cisgender community, and people think, well, it doesn't, transgenders are different. Well, we're not different. In that aspect, we have that fear of stigmatization. We have that fear of violence. Um, and I'm not saying to all transgender people to keep a notebook or a diary for the coroner. I think we need to get past that and lift ourselves up and be fabulous people.
Right.
But we also have to be aware of our surroundings and stuff, and don't make ourselves too vulnerable.
Yeah, that's true. It's quite often when we're trying to create change, we can be very vulnerable and open and share our stories, but again, just be careful of what you're comfortable with sharing and what you're not comfortable with sharing, and just having that self-awareness. And I think that's in all things anyway, just being self-aware of the situation you're in, your own mental health, your own physical health.
So, what is the biggest challenge that you have been facing down there?
I think the biggest challenge I've been facing is probably just getting more of a voice out there, just at time, and also people's misconceptions and fear towards trans people. So just being able to get out there more and obviously speak more can be a challenge. And the other challenge is if someone invites you to speak, they don't want to pay because you're from a minority, you'll do it for free sort of thing, and expecting you to travel to the other side of the country for next to nothing. So sort of all challenges when you're trying to raise awareness as well.
Now, the medical issues down there, as far as transitioning, are they as bad as they are up here, as having to go through a mountain of paperwork and
Yes, they are. Like there's a huge amount. There's a huge like I'm going through that process now to take money out of Medicaid. I'm going to see appointments with a face surgeon, breast surgeon, get the paperwork filled out, then you've got to get the quotes, then you've got to submit it to the super fund to get the money out. And like, whilst you can do it more than once on compassionate grounds, probably do it get the money out once, then you can start planning your surgery. But navigating it is people say, oh, that's exciting, but it's highly stressful because you've got to have an appointment with people, and there are not necessarily many people that do any sort of transgender surgery, whether it's face surgery or breast surgery. So having to travel interstate to Sydney to look at facial surgery with someone there and breast surgery there, and then go to the voice surgeon. So got to make different appointments and the cost as well.
Yeah, I know here in California, I'm under the Medicaid expansion program. They call Medi-Cal, and they will pay for the transition-related surgeries and stuff, but
Yep.
They have you jumping through so many hoops and loops and excuse me, and it's just crazy.
Oh, it is like I didn't realise till you fill out the paperwork and you stress and they filled it out correct, and then you've got the people you're dealing with trying to find, you sort of, sometimes you might be just dealing with a receptionist to get the paperwork from, and then you've got to go to the doctor to get a referral to another specialist. And like the plastic surgeon picked up that I had a problem with my nose airway, so then he's referred me to an ENT person, but it's just the costs along the way, seeing the specialist, and you don't get much money back from Medicare, and it's just like unnecessarily paperwork, and it can feel a little bit demeaning, like I'm an adult, I can make these decisions just because I'm transgender. It doesn't mean that other people don't have to go through that, like a normal female doesn't have to go through that.
Well, I think overall we need to change how because the whole process is it's an old process to go through, and we need to get this whole thing changed because you have to go to a plastic surgeon, you got to go to like yourself, an ENT. Well, I have to go to an ENT anyway because of my sinuses. But you need two mental health referrals. You need a referral from another specialist, and then you need a referral from your primary care doctor. It's like, I mean, and that's all before you actually talk to the surgeon that's going to do the surgery.
Oh God! Look, luckily, it's not quite as bad as here. Like, it was getting the money out of the super. They've got a standard form, so you get back to my employer to get approval, and then give it to the super fund. So they've got a standard medical report form to fill out. But so luckily, with facial surgery, breast surgery, and voice surgery, I haven't seen the voice surgeon yet, but with them so far, we may be able to get a letter from the GP. But luckily, I've already seen the facial surgeon or plastic surgeon in Sydney once already. So Dr. Reddy in Sydney is quite good in the plastic surgery clinic. So I've already had he was really empathetic. And he said he's already spoken to 4 trans people, but he decided instead to go to Thailand further deeper. But he's really new his stuff, so finding someone like that is good. So it's sort of crazy you have to go through all the people to see the surgeon. Like, it's disappointing to hear that, obviously, in America, that going through all those hoops before you even speak to someone to figure out what's appropriate for you and what's best outcome for what you want and you as an individual, and it's quite a time-consuming process. So going to see the surgeon again, get to do everything with them, and then then you go see an ENT person, and then they have to see them again. So sort of a long process, and then put all the information together, dealing with different people, get all the quotes together. From a practical point of view, it's quite a process in itself, and it can be a little bit exhausting and draining at times.
Okay. So, is there anything that you want to specifically share with the people, or?
Well, I think I know America can be quite divisive, politically. I follow it a lot, and some companies are more supportive of trans people than others. I know this Walt just seem to be leading the way a bit there, more progressive there. So I hope that continues, and I think in Australia, I hope that we can continue to improve as a society with attitudes towards trans people, and I think people like myself and you that continue to share people's stories, I think through that's a powerful way of changing society's perception and breaking down the barriers towards us.
Well, Tell your story.
Well, I guess I sort of started dressing when I was 15 years old, and then tried to bury it like a lot of older trans, and some trans do, because they didn't understand it. And back, that's what, 33 years ago, without the luxury of the internet or having an environment where people you could talk to or even understanding what it was. So try and bury it, bury yourself in paper, but it's always there. And I guess I started dressing again in my late 20s. And then when I moved to Melbourne, Australia, I started exploring it more and started going out as a female, while still going to work as a male, hiding it, trying to figure everything out, figuring out who you are as a person, as a female. Is this just making sure it's just not like a fetish, like some people say it's a fetish, people dressing up as girls, when it's not necessarily the case. And it probably took me quite a while to sort of accept and figure myself out, being comfortable in my own skin, and I decided to make the decision to transition back in 2014. I went home, saw my dad and my cousin dying of cancer, so it made me realise life was pretty short, and I couldn't really live part-time anymore. So I went through the process, told my employer, where I was a member of the Victoria Racing Club, what I was doing. Managed to get a gender identity policy introduced there, so did that relatively quickly. So whilst I worked to a plan of transition, just got to work through, get approval to go on hormones in Australia, go through that process, go through the process of getting your corporate wardrobe up to standard for work as a female. So going through all that, changing your name, changing your documents is a nightmare. So in Victoria, I changed my name to my female name, but at that time, I couldn't change my gender to female. It still says male, and not being born here, it's complicated changing the gender on your birth certificate in New Zealand. I haven't done that yet. And it's just a dichotomy of the system here is you've got state and federal law. So at the state level, my genders might be male, but I'm a Australian passport, I'm a female, which is interesting. And Medicaid put you down as a female. So sort of going around, changing your driver's license, bank details, and then having to go back to the bank and gender with the bank female is quite exhausting process, and people don't realise it's like you've got to change all your documents. But through that process and just living as a female, getting some coaching myself to feel more comfortable in my skin, and then starting to raise awareness, like the blog posts about jobs, and with Oxford Employment Agency, just gradually starting to raise awareness through my own experiences, realising how difficult it is in the workplace and in society as a person. And I've just kept going on that path of sort of sharing a story, whether that's social media or just in the media, doing an article for the Guardian newspaper here as well, about being involved with the Me Too movement. My friend Tracy Spicer asked me to be part of the Now Australia Foundation, and hearing stories around bullying and harassment. So doing all those things to sort of raise awareness, and people may society may feel uncomfortable, but hopefully through doing that it sort of makes it easier. And that's sort of like the story in a nutshell, but obviously I've done other stuff as well. But the main purpose of why I started out was just initially to make it easier for people, and I didn't really set out to be a pioneer or someone that was sort of paving the way, but that's sort of what happens, I guess, when you do things and for a good cause to make it easier for others, and hopefully it'll be easier for friends and children and adults in the future. The paperwork and the loops they have to go through for medication and changing the documents, hopefully in years to come will gradually become a lot easier. And I hope, same in America, hopefully eventually that will change as well.
Okay, well, in the next couple of minutes that we have left, do you have any words of inspiration?
I think just be yourself. I know it can be hard sometimes. Anyone be comfortable in your skin. Be the change you want to create. If you want to put yourself out there, be an activist in whatever area it is, whether it's trans or any spectrum on the LGBTIQ plus spectrum, just be self-aware, look after yourself, and don't, excuse me, don't try to be anyone else. Just be yourself and recognising that change you're trying to create will take time, and that if you're prepared to put yourself out there, then you can create change, and just be prepared to fail. Like, get over being a sugar cookie. You might speak somewhere or write an article, it may not come across very well, and sometimes it doesn't matter how well you prepare, you just never get it quite right. So don't be too hard on yourself, beat yourself up when you think you've done everything right and something doesn't quite go your way. You just keep going.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And again, this was Melissa Griffiths from the Lounge Down Under in Melbourne, Australia. And I thank you for being a guest.
That's all right, Aaron. My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.